Good morning, everyone. Today I am in Bucks County in what I believe is Jamison, Pennsylvania, and I am searching for a 224-year-old arch bridge, 8 arches to be exact. And this is the Neshaminy Creek, and as you can probably tell, the water level is extremely high. We've been getting a ton of rain in this area. So I was kind of hoping I would be able to follow some type of a trail to this bridge, which is no longer in use. It used to be, at one time, Old York Road used to go right over this bridge. But Old York Road was bypassed and it no longer goes over that. I'm saying Old York Road, but it might be York Road. I believe it's Route 563. So this is absolutely turning into quite an adventure because I was here before and it was close to sunset. And if you follow MapQuest to the 8 Arches Bridge in Bucks County, it takes you right over. God, you scared the hell out of me. Oh gosh. All right, so I'm back in my car and this almost became a second fail. I'm not sure how much I was recording there, and you probably, I don't know if I don't know if I edited it out or not, but somebody came down there and scared the hell out of me. So anyway, but he was a really nice guy. He was just there taking a look at the creek because it's really, really high water levels right now. So he told me how I can find this bridge, because there was no way where we were, there was no way I could have walked along the creek side and gotten to the bridge. So anyway, we're gonna try the directions he gave me, and hopefully we're gonna find this bridge. So this is oh my God, this is turning into an adventure. And I gotta tell you, the first time I came out here, I'll get to that story, but this looks more like a hiking trail than somewhere I can park. But I think I might just park here on the grass and hope I don't get towed. All right, so I turned around because that was absolutely I don't know what it was. It definitely wasn't an area I should park. I think it was headed towards private property, and it looked like a bike trail or running trail. Definitely not something I should be driving on in a car. So I think if we proceed this way, we're gonna find a little parking area. In fact, I think this is the bridge. All right, let's pull in down here, see what we can find. And right over here is the old bridge, which we are going to walk over and take a look at, and then hopefully we'll be able to get down creek level and take a look at it from the bottom. All right, so let's hike across this. So first I'm seeing these huge rocks that I am going to make the assumption were placed here so people don't drive across the bridge. You know, and as I say that, unless it's a really wide car, there must have been another purpose, because you could still drive across this bridge. I don't believe you are allowed to, as I see that driveway. That's not a road anymore, but I don't believe you're allowed to drive across this bridge. But yes, you could certainly fit through those two rocks. So this is a 221-year-old bridge. And at first I thought these holes were just, you know, the wall breaking down, but that's probably so the water runs out, I'm guessing. Turning out to be a beautiful day. I think it's supposed to go up to maybe like 73, 74 degrees. And I assume when this bridge was built to go over the Neshaminy Creek, this was no longer needed. And it definitely looks like it's in need of some restoration. But considering its age, it's in pretty good shape. Now, looking down at the Neshaminy Creek, you would think this was the Delaware River. I mean, it's usually not this far up on the banks. This is quite impressive. And we're gonna get down there, so we're gonna take a look at the bridge from down there. Now, I'm almost thinking if we had not been getting so much rain, we'd probably be able to walk out a little further to get a really good view, but we're gonna do the best we can. It was built in 1804, and it's over 2 centuries old. 221 years to be exact. It's the oldest surviving stone arch bridge in Pennsylvania. Correction, I read that wrong. As I try to correct myself while making the video, it is one of the oldest surviving stone bridges. I know it's not the oldest because I've been to the oldest, and that was in Pennypack Park, northeast Philly, along the Kings Highway, which is now Frankford Avenue. So let's see if maybe we can get down here. Like I said, everything's kind of wet and slippery, so I want to try to be as careful as possible. So you'll be proud of me, I actually wore hiking boots. I'm normally in running shoes, so let's see if we can get down here. Ugh. All right, we're down. Well, look at this old stonework. Moss covered. And then we can see the first of 8 arches. This one appears to be dry, so we can, I was gonna say we can walk through, but I don't know about that. Just look at this old arched stonework. This, I don't know what that is, moss or, I don't know. It almost looked like little stalactites are forming. Not sure what all this growth is, but it's kind of pretty if you just look at it through the arch. And this is wet and gross. Definitely be checking myself for ticks when I get home. But we might be able to make it through this. What's nice is there's no thorns. All right, so we are on the other side of the bridge. I want to try to get a look at this bridge from every angle, if possible. So you might notice I'm up on the bridge again. That's where I went down, and then I crossed under. And remember me saying I think it might be private property? Well, it is. And as I was fidgeting with my camera to take a picture, I saw a woman on her phone looking down in the direction where I was. So I guess I got a little worried, and not only worried, I definitely don't want to be trespassing. So I walked over to her and I told her that I didn't realize this was private property and I didn't see a no trespassing sign, which I did not. But anyway, she wound up being really nice. So she let me walk up on her property to get back to the bridge so I didn't have to crawl through all that mud. She was also telling me that not her house, but there was an old rock structure which was probably 250-year-old spring house at one time, and there used to be the original Pony Express locations along that area. So I thought that was just so cool. And it really makes me realize just how many cool things there are to see that are maybe now on private property. So if you are someone who watches my videos and there's something kind of cool on your property and you'd be willing to let me check it out, I would greatly appreciate that. So maybe just send me an email. I would always be respectful. I wouldn't put the address. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Always looking for interesting history to explore. So now I believe if we go down this way, and she even said that you're in the park, so you're not on private property at that point. So that is what we are going to do, and it's probably what I should have done originally. But you know. So while I am slowly walking down this hill, I want to tell you a little story about the first time I came out here. So it was a last minute decision, like so many of my videos. And God, it had to be maybe 40 minutes away by the time I got here, 40 minutes away from complete sunset. So not the best time to be trouncing through the woods. And I wasn't here where we are right now. I had no idea how to get to this little park. So if you remember that initial, in the very beginning of this video where I was, when I was going to try to walk along the creek, after driving around the neighborhood and not finding anywhere to park, I eventually pulled in there and decided, hey, I'm just gonna walk along the creek. And the creek was not like this. So, I mean, we're on a trail now, but if you remember where we were before, there was no trail. So that would have been an impossibility. But I thought, hey, I can do it. I can do it. Little did I know. So I started hiking along the creek, and I came upon kind of like a build out. It was like a fort. I mean, I thought it was really cool. In fact, I did videotape it. Unfortunately, I erased it because I probably should have kept it. For this video, I could have added it, but I erased it because I knew I wasn't going to make a video because I was never going to find the bridge. But anyway, so I'm checking that out thinking, wow, this is kind of cool. Maybe some Boy Scouts built this or whatever. And then, you know, as I'm wandering throughout, I started noticing, I started seeing blankets, an old pillow. So beer cans all over the place. Now I was thinking I probably shouldn't be filming this or walking around here. Could be dangerous. And I was by myself. And it wasn't dark yet, but it was getting there. So anyway, I proceeded past that little structure. I made it maybe about a quarter mile, and I kept hearing noises behind me, like someone was following me. And that kind of scared the heck out of me. Trying to keep it PG here. And then I started hearing pebbles being thrown towards me. Now at this point I was scared to death. So I did turn around. I had my pepper spray in hand. I was ready to go if I had to. But I couldn't see anyone. They were ducking behind trees. Now, most likely it was teenagers just kind of messing with me, but you never know. You know what I mean? And I'm in the woods and it was a little scary. So I proceeded to walk along the creek and I kept hearing it. So I got really scared, and what I did is it was like a hill to my right. There's not one here, but there was a hill going almost straight up to the road. And I just, I don't know what gave me the strength to do it, but I went straight up that hill to the road without falling. I mean, it was pretty steep, but anyway, I made it. I got all dirty and I was definitely scared, which I don't scare too easily, but anyway, that's my little story. But check this creek out. Oh my God. It is, again, it may not seem like any big deal to you if you've never been here before, but this creek is never like this. And it's flowing, like I said, it looks like the Schuylkill or Delaware River. Anyway, let's get back to the bridge. After all the trouble it took to get here, I think we should probably look at the bridge, right? That's what we're gonna do now. So there we go. There is the 8-arch bridge. I want to find a spot where we can actually count all 8 arches. So let's see if we can get a little closer. So this bridge is constructed using ashlar stone with rubble and dirt as fill. So it's an example of American masonry and engineering craftsmanship from over 200 years ago. And when I read that, you know, the stonework was they were using rubble and dirt as fill, I don't know, how does something like that last over 200 years? To me, that is amazing. Probably a lost art. It's probably the way they cut the stone, I guess. Just trying to get a little closer. Whoa, without falling down this hill. Don't want to get wet today. Of this ashlar stone with dirt and rubble fill. Now, I am thinking, like, this looks like cement. So there've probably been some repairs to the bridge. In fact, I'm quite sure there has been. I don't think these little pipes were here back in 1804. But God, when you think about 1804, right? I mean, our founding fathers were still alive back then. So I'm gonna think that they probably traveled over this bridge at one time. And the reason I say that is this served as the busy Route 202 stagecoach route that linked Philadelphia and New York City, which obviously was a key transportation artery in the 19th century. Pretty cool. Let's see if we can get a better view of the bridge. As I said that, I started thinking that really kind of ties into what that woman was telling me about this being, or at least over on that side, part of the original Pony Express, right? Because you would think, right, a lot of mail packages would have been going from New York to Philadelphia or vice versa. So there are 8 arches in total. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. You can only see 5 from here. You know, I really wish I had a drone. I am going to get my other camera out, but I'm kind of thinking it's going to be very difficult to get all 8 arches in one picture. But I guess that really doesn't matter so much, right? I mean, we did see the arches on the other side because we were on the other side. But I'm thinking I might figure out a way to do it. So now I'm going to try to get on the other side, on this side. The other side on this side. But I'm going to try to go through there, but I'm not going to walk through there. We can probably take this trail up and down. So let's do that and see what we see. So for my history buffs out there, during the Civil War, a regiment of over 3,000 soldiers marched across this bridge from Doylestown en route to fight Confederate forces. So, in so many ways, this bridge is connected to our national history. And one of the things I love about history and exploring and combining the two is as I am walking across this bridge, which I am currently walking backwards, I like to imagine that 3,000 some troops crossing over this bridge, leaving their home in Doylestown, New Hope, other areas of Bucks County, I guess. Maybe a little excited, because back then I don't think people realized the horror of war until they were there, you know? They didn't grow up watching war movies like Platoon and Private Ryan. So they kind of probably had a glorified version of war. And I have to think some of them were probably quite scared. A lot of them were probably, you know, I wanted to say like 18, 19, but back then, I don't know, probably 15, 16, 17-year-olds. I'm pretty sure that was the case during the Civil War, at least on the Confederate side, so I'm going to guess probably on the Union side as well. And if you've read anything about Civil War history, or maybe watched a Ken Burns video, or even trying to think of a good Civil War movie, it was a horrifying war. I think over 500,000 Americans died fighting the Civil War. And you weren't necessarily firing a gun from 200 yards away. It was hand-to-hand combat. And I'm not a historian, so I don't know the statistics, but I'm gonna guess a whole heck of a lot of them died from bayonet wounds. Oh God, anyway. We are very fortunate to live in the time we live, and I just hope it stays that way. Like I often do, I am totally blabbering on. Let's get back to business and get on the other side of the bridge, see if we can get some good pictures, and maybe discover a little more about the bridge. Okay, so I'm back on the other side of the bridge, and I think if we go down this way, we can probably get, I don't know, maybe a better view. So as I'm watching the water rushing through this bridge, it's probably a good time to talk about a catastrophic flood that happened in 1865. The flood in 1865 destroyed every other bridge downstream, including a few covered bridges. And this was the only bridge that was left standing. So that must have been quite a flood. So from here, I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, barely. It's not coming up on the camera, but I'm gonna try to get a picture where I can get all 8 arches. I'm gonna grab my other camera. All right, so I think I found the sweet spot. In the right-hand side, which is hard to see, let me see if I can, that's about as zoomed in as I can be. There's 2 arches, 1 and 2. Hopefully you can see that. And we have a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th behind that tree, 7th, and 8th. 8 arches. I feel like I'm on Sesame Street. Another interesting thing about this bridge was this was actually in use until 1970. So it was in use for 96 years. Again, a testament of the stonework, right? I mean, that's pretty amazing. All right, so in front of this beautiful bridge, I think it's time to end my video. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could give it a like, it would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you so much, friends. Have a great day.